got you deep in the heart of me.
And we're back with episode 8.7 of Monday Night Frights. Tonight we're heading back to Springfield. Yes, so we're obviously continuing our coverage of Treehouse of Horror,
Mm-hmm.
and tonight it's Treehouse of Horror episode 15 and episode 16.
XV1.
Yes, it is. So, as per usual, we will talk about all six segments in both episodes, and we'll talk about, some of our favorite moments and some of our not so favorite moments, and
Yeah.
we'll try and get as many cool lines out there as possible because there's overall, I didn't love both of these episodes, but there's some good lines
Yeah.
as
There's
always.
memorable moments throughout them. Like there, as
Uh-huh.
I was watching them, it was like, oh, I know what's happening next, or oh, that scene,
hmm
I think that's the thing. As we start to go on with the Treehouse of Horror, the quality does start to dip, but there'll always be memorable moments from them. Again, I'm trying to think because at the minute I'm still watching them being like, yes, I remember this, but at what point will I be like, oh, I
This is
don't know
brand
this?
new.
Yeah, like this brand new to me. I think I think it's definitely when we start getting into the maybe the 20s, I think.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
I
yeah,
remember a few of them now, but most of them are kind of I'm drawing a blank with.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we'll kick into it straight away. So episode 15 aired on November the 7th, 2004, and was the latest airing of any of the episodes
Mm-hmm.
in the whole series. So we have done a few, which kind of sometimes does drop after Halloween, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Um, and it's mostly because of just Fox Network and you've got other
Scheduling
stuff
and
going on, you know what I mean, other programming and stuff like that. So, so
mhm.
the intro, Danny, kicks off with. I thought it was great. It was Kai and Kodos, but it was like
Like a
it was
sitcom
like
sort of.
a yeah, like a sort of tin canned laughter sitcom, a
Yeah.
classic US sitcom, and it was called Keeping It Kudos.
Keeping it
Um,
kudos with Kang.
I know. So it was basically them on their ship, and they had the Simpsons as dinner. So they were
hmm
cooking each one of them in a different style. So I think wasn't Marge was in a pie. Marge and
Marge was in
Lisa
a
were in
pie.
pies.
It's because Homer was he's like, this one keeps eating himself. And Homer's just like taking bites out of his arm in like
uh
a little greased up tray. And then
like a donut.
Marge and Maggie are wee pies. Can't mind what Lisa was in. And then Bart, I think, was on like a skillet. And he's the only one freaking
hmm
out. Yeah, that's right. He's like,
he's just getting fried up, isn't he?
And he's like, "Am I the only one? Am I the only one in pain, freaking out about this?" And Homer's
Uh,
just like, "And you won't shut up about it."
so Kai and Kodos are cooking the Simpsons for their boss.
Yes.
Um, I think this is the first time we've seen them.
Yeah.
Their boss, isn't it?
Yep.
Do we know his name?
No, I don't think. I don't think they give you the name. I think they're just saying, "Oh, the boss is coming over. We have to make sure dinner's ready."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then he was it there. Oh, the all the wee bits left on the plate. It's like Maggie's dummy and
hmm
Marge's hair, and then Homer's like mouth is like stubble. His like
Oh
mouth is
yeah,
sitting
that's
on the
right.
plate
Yeah.
as well, which I was just like, of all the things to leave for Homer, it's just that there, and I think Lisa's necklace is there too.
Uh-huh.
But
But then
yeah,
Bart bursts out of the boss's tummy,
mhm.
and he's like basically
Cool,
like
I'm
vomit.
vomit.
Yeah, vomit. Yeah.
Cool, I'm vomit.
And
Yeah.
then he realizes, which is quite a sad moment, that
Mhm.
this whole family is dead, and he doesn't have
Yeah.
a family anymore.
But then they're like, you're our
Until
family now.
they put their tentacles around him, and they're like, "Come
Yeah.
on, son, come you here to me."
We're your family now.
So they
Yeah.
adopt Bart, and it's a happy ending, which is always
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah.
So we'll kick off the first segment in episode 15. I think this is quite a famous one. It's
hmm
called the Ned Zone, which is obviously a parody of Stephen King's The Dead Zone,
hmm
where Ned Flanders gets hit in the head by Homer Simpson's bowling ball, which he's trying to throw on the roof to retrieve his frisbee.
Yeah.
So that's a main theme throughout this episode is that Homer has lost his frisbee
Yeah.
and he's trying to get it back at different points throughout the episode. So the bowling ball falls down, hits Ned in the head. He has to go to hospital,
Mhm.
and he's out of it for a little while. But he eventually comes through. He's got a vision of Hibbert's there, and he sort of touches. He touches him or he
Dr.
hugs him or
Hibbert,
something.
he shakes his hand. He's, is he not like thanking him
Oh yeah,
for
that's right.
treating
Yeah,
him? And he shakes his hand and he sees Dr. Hibbert falling to his death
out the window.
out the window. Yeah.
And then like literally a second later, he opens the window,
That's it, because
and
well,
that's it. Homer's like, "Oh, can you
Homer's
get my frisbee?"
frisbee's on the roof of the hospital, and Dr. Hibbert's like, "This is the last time I do it for you." He overreaches and ends up falling out the hospital window
Yeah, and then
to
he's
his
like, "Oh,
death.
this is gonna hurt." So he
Yep.
gets out like an anesthetic
Yeah,
needle
that's
and
right.
jabs himself with it. So he falls to his death basically.
Hmm.
And then Ned shits himself because Ned, knows that he can sort of see the future, or he can see how people die just by touching them. So this sort of freaks him out. So um, he leaves the hospital anyway, and he ends up, isn't it Mr. Mole Man that he sees?
Hans Moleman, yeah, gets hit by a car, doesn't he?
Uh,
Yeah.
and then that again, that sort of comes through to him that he knows shit. This is something that is quite a powerful thing,
Hmm.
and he doesn't really want it. So, no, Mole Man gets eaten by alligators.
That's right. Yeah. Who's it? Is somebody get hit by a car? Is there not a car one as well? Am I thinking
I
something
don't know if
else?
it's in this episode or
I
not.
remember. Um, Hans Moleman. Yeah. He gets eaten by. You know what? There's a Hans Moleman moment, which isn't in this episode, but is in the next one that has just like eclipsed all other Hans Moleman things because I've not stopped thinking about
Really?
it in another episode. It just cracked me up. Absolutely killed me.
This segment or in
In
the in
the
the
no,
in
in
the
the
I
in another
yes, and
segment,
I think that's one I
there's
will get there, but that's one of my
oh yeah,
favorite
yeah,
segments of the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, but is that part? But yeah, it's always nice to see Mole Man, even though
We
he's
love we
he's
love
kind
Hans
of
Moleman.
he's only in random episodes.
Yep.
Um, but he gets eaten by alligators,
Hmm.
and Ned comes in contact with Homer as he would,
Yep.
and he sees Homer's death, and it's actually Ned that shoots Homer with a gun.
It
And
shoots
obviously
him.
this
Yeah.
freaks him out, so he decides that he doesn't want to do that. He wants to move house to
He's
try and
selling up his
stop
house
it.
to avoid fate. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
It's the bit when Ned's telling Homer about you, that he can see people's deaths, and the first thing Homer thinks is money. He has money symbols in his
mhm,
eyes, and he's like, "Oh, tell me how I'm gonna die." And Ned lies to him and says, "Oh, you'll die eating a sandwich."
mhm,
And then I puts the house up for sale, and the Simpsons kids come over and ask him why he's moving, and he says, "Oh, I'm trying not to tempt fate. I'll end up killing your father." But like Bart and Lisa are just kind of like, "Oh,
mhm,
if it happens, it happens."
mhm.
What what? And then Homer catches wind when he comes over, and he takes Chief Wiggum's gun
I know.
off him and throws
Chief,
it
give
to
me your
him.
piece.
Give me your piece. That's
Sure,
it.
citizen. He throws out the window at him.
Throws it, yeah. And then he's like slapping, he's like, stop slapping my barrel,
Uh,
Homer.
quit whacking my barrel. That
Whack
was
on
that
my
was the
barrel,
first great
Homer.
line.
That was good. I enjoyed
And
that,
then
yeah.
so Ned eventually steals a gun off him and
Hmm.
throws it in a chipper,
Yeah,
wood chipper, and it goes away. And then he thinks he's changed the future,
yeah.
which obviously is a butterfly effect to other things and blah 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 blah. So he touches him again and realizes that his death has changed now. It's not going to be a death by gun. It's going to be death by nuclear explosion.
Blowing the whole town up,
He's
yep.
going to blow the nuclear plant up and blow the whole of Springfield up. So Homer goes to work as he
Mhm.
should.
It's the bit whenever Ned's trying to like dissuade him from going to work, and Homer's like, "Oh yeah, sure thing. Tomorrow
Yeah,
because it's Lenny's birthday and they have ice cream cake."
that's
And
right.
Ned's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but you can't go." And he's like, "But ice cream cake," and drives off.
Hello. Um, and it's isn't it when he's eating the cake at the time when Ned comes in to try and save him.
he's eating the cake in like the reactor control room, which has like the like isolated glass,
Soundproof
so
glass, yeah.
I can't hear him. And then Ned's pressing the the call button, but it mustn't he mustn't be pressing it properly because he's trying to say, uh, don't press the button,
Hmm.
don't do
Don't
it,
do it, you'll kill
don't,
everyone.
you'll kill everyone. And it's like press the button, do it, kill everyone
Yeah.
because the breakup in the sound, yeah. I like that bit. I was like, ah, yeah. And then this is one of those moments where, as it played out, it was like, I remember what happens here. I remember exactly what happens. And was it, Ned steals the sleeping security guard's gun, and shoots through the glass and shoots
Hmm.
Homer in the back, and he's Homer, or Homer looks like he's going to fall forward on the button, and Ned tells him to fall backwards, and he stumbles backwards, and then he falls forward and then stumbles back a bit and then falls forward and then rolls over on the control panel and then like shimmies down a bit.
Yeah.
And then it
Right
keeps looking
beside the
like he's
button.
gonna like hit it and then not hit it. And then yeah, he's lying beside it, his head's lying beside it, and then his tongue just flops out and hits the button. That's the bit I remember. I remember the tongue flopping out and hitting the button. And was it Ned shouting, doesn't he say like son of a bit, and just before it says bitch,
Hmm.
the whole
It blows
place
up, yeah, yeah.
blows up. Yep. Mm.
So Springfield blows up and kills everyone.
Yep.
And
Ned
they're
and
all in
Homer go to
heaven.
heaven.
Yeah, but guess what? Homer actually finds his frisbee in
Yeah.
heaven. God gives it
No,
to him.
God hands it to him. Yeah, he's like, and now you'll get what you deserve, Homer. Your frisbee.
Yeah, see,
That just
it was
killed
all
me.
meant to be. It was all happy
It
ending.
just cracked me up. What was that? And then oh no, it's even before that. Whenever they first got up, Marge goes, "Oh, Homer, I know you only blew up the town so you could get out of cleaning the garage." And Homer's
That's
like,
right.
and then she's like, "But too bad, the garage made it to heaven too." And it's some
I
garage
know.
with a wee pair of wings. That was good. That was good. I like that.
I was decent wee segment.
Mhm.
But on a segment 2 of episode 15, four beheadings and a funeral.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wonderful play on that movie title. Like,
brilliant, brilliant play on the movie title, but it's actually a parody of From Hell,
hmm
aka Jack the Ripper story.
yeah.
Set in 1890 in London.
London, I'm a proper
I'm a
cockney.
bloody Cockney. This is brilliant. I loved all the sort of like,
Yeah.
ooh.
All the hoity-toity.
I know local prostitutes are being murdered by swords, Danny.
hmm hmm
Swords?
The
Well,
swords
big
of
blades.
Osiris. Yeah.
Basically big blades.
Wiggly swords.
Sort of wiggly
Wiggly
swords,
bejeweled
yeah.
swords. Yeah.
Yeah. And the murderer has been nicknamed the Mutton Shop Murderer,
The mutton chop murder. Yeah.
that made me smile.
I like that. I like,
So
yeah.
it's not Chief Wiggum, it's Inspector Wiggum.
Yes.
And he's joined by Eliza Simpson and her partner, Dr. Bartley.
Bartley.
So
Yeah.
Lisa and Bart.
Yes.
I was like, why is he dressed as a leprechaun? But then
Yeah, it's
I
wee
realized
greens.
he was just, it was just, he wasn't. It was
Yeah.
like Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson
Watson.
type
Yeah.
type vibe going on with him.
And what was it?
Um,
He's easily impressed.
hmm Oh, I got
Oh,
one.
a doorknob. Good show. Good show.
What's all this then? They're talking about the murder, obviously, and they're sort of trying to figure out who it might
Oh fuck!
be.
It's even because even before just that murder bit, it opens in the alleyway with the woman kind of like calling to fellas, and what is it? She's like when she's saying, "Oh, what are you doing sneaking up behind me? You don't have to sneak up behind me. You're quite handsome. Give
Yeah.
us a snug." And she gets stabbed. You see the silhouette of the mutton chop murderer stabbing her, and she's like, "That's not a snug." That killed me. That's not a snug.
So they're in the jails
Oh fuck,
building,
fuck no!
and
And even that before Bart and Lisa walk in, and Wiggum, Inspector Wiggum, is like, he's like, dust it down for Prince, and he's like, and by that I mean, get all the dirt off her, for the Prince coming.
I can your man's there like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
And then yeah, what he says, yeah, just make
yeah.
sure she's clean for the prince.
Make sure she's clean for the Prince coming. Yeah,
Mhm.
dust it down for Prince.
But then another great line is they think they've caught the mutton shop killer,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring in
Apu.
Apu. Uh, this mysterious Hindu is obviously the killer.
Yeah.
Put him in a jail cell until we find somebody
Find
darker.
someone darker. Yeah, that got me too. That was good. Hmm.
Um, and then we meet Marge, who is a proper Cockney flower girl.
Yep.
And she has some information about the killer. She finds the blade, doesn't she?
Yes, she's the one that comes across the blade. Yeah.
Yeah, and she ends up giving it to Eliza Simpson, who then takes it to the Emporium of Exotica,
Yep.
which is comic book guy, and
Mhm.
he knows what it is because he sold it,
Yep.
and then they basically try to track who bought this blade and who might be the killer, and it comes back to Ebenezer Burns,
Yeah. It's the bit
who
even because there's the bit the wee bit before even all that. Whenever Marge comes in, she explains that she's also a purveyor of pies. Another was it like British food? It's
oh
like
ate the eel pie, yeah, of
the eel
course,
pie, and
quite
whenever
important.
Inspector Wiggum eats that and the wee eel pop, it's like pops out of his mouth, and he's like, "Back in you," and shoves him back
But it's
in.
like he
Yeah,
puts the baton in his mouth.
yeah, it's like
I thought it
shoving
was
it in.
very suggestive. There's a couple of these
And you and your
couple of
filthy
these
minds.
segments that are very suggestive of sort of adult material. A couple of wee racist jokes as well, which
Oh
is,
yeah, absolutely.
always funny, like uh in a good way, in a funny way, like
It's critiquing. It's a
exactly,
critique of
exactly.
racism. Yeah.
So they find out that it was Ebenezer Burns who bought that, but before they can leave the shop,
Mhm.
the comic book guy goes to the sort of back room to look at his ledger to see, to see who it was that he has got it, and
Mhm.
then but he gets stabbed.
Stop.
He gets stabbed by the blade, and then
Mhm.
just as he's dying, he goes, "Oh, I have a potion that'll
Yeah.
save me, like an elixir or something." And it falls, but it falls on the stool,
Falls on the
and then the
stool.
stool comes alive.
Yeah. What does he says? He's
Oh,
like,
I'm alive.
everybody will know the name of was it
Simon Stillwitz.
Simon Stolowitz. That's it. Simon Stolowitz. He puts a wee cap
I
on
know,
and then goes running down the street. That's right.
class,
Simon
class.
Stolowitz. Yeah.
I'm alive. But so they go back to they find Burns,
Hmm. And
who,
the opium
yeah,
den. Oh my God.
Mouse, Mouse
Mouse,
Bar.
Mouse,
He's like a
Mouse
wee
opium
fucking. He's
den.
got the
And
wee
he's the
mustache
Fu
and all.
Manchu mustache
Yeah,
and all, yeah. And he's sort of saying, or he's like, oh yeah, he's down the back. And then Mr. Burns with the long nails and all, uh, smoking his opium, and he's like, oh yeah, I sold it to a rotund mutton chopped fellow, for opium. I wish I had those daggers back so I could buy more
no more
opium.
up. Yeah, brilliant. I thought that was fucking hilarious. Mouse
Mhm.
Bar, just instead of drinking beer, they were all off their face in opium.
Oh,
Amazing.
smoking opium, yeah. Um,
So they actually find the murderer. Well, they think who it
well,
is.
they
It's
think.
Homer,
Well, that's because Mr.
the
Burns,
mutton chops.
like that fellow over
Yeah.
there. And
So and Chief Wiggum's there as well, or Inspector Wiggum's there as well.
oh, because it's the only way you
Why
can
are
get
you
Ralphie
here?
to sleep.
What is it?
It's the only way you can get Ralphie to
Oh,
sleep.
that's
And
it.
Ralph
Yeah,
Wiggum's smoking opium, and he's like, I could blow opios, blowing the smoke
that's
rings.
right. So they think it's Homer as the murderer. So they chase him through Mau's bar, and before
Oh,
they get to the very end, they're throwing Patreons
he's
everywhere.
throwing.
They
Was
throw
it
Willie and yeah,
Homer's grabbed a load of the addicts, and was it Mao says, points at a sign. It's like no throwing addicts,
uh,
no throwing the addicts.
I know, class. Um, so they think they've got their man. Eventually, they catch him, and there's a public execution.
Mhm.
Um, as they did back in those days, he's getting hung in front of everyone. But then Eliza and Dr. Bartley realize that he's not the killer because another prostitute
Someone
gets
else been
stabbed.
murdered. Yep.
Only it's a bigger blade this time.
Hmm.
Big is
It
actually a
was a
big
set.
sword.
It was a collection of
Seven, yeah.
blades. Hmm.
Where's the other five? Who
Well,
knows? Did they show up later?
Lisa has one. One was in Comic Book Guy. Um, there has been other murders before, so
Hmm.
maybe about the place.
So just as they're about to kill Homer as the murderer, Eliza comes up and says, "No, no." He's an innocent man. I know who it is. I could smell the handle because she gives it an out sniff,
Yep.
and she says that she can smell eel pie.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and who
Who
was
likes
eating eel
eel
pie?
pie? Oh, was
Inspector
old
Wiggum.
Inspector Wiggum. Yep.
And then
Hmm.
his hat comes off and his hair flops down and he's got the
The
mutton chops.
muttons. The muttons fall out of his hat. Yep. That's right.
Uh, and then he tries to escape, so he jumps in a blimp and he's
Hmm.
like, "You can't get me!" And he fucks off into the sky. And just as he's about to go away, he's like, "What is it?" He says,
Can't even mind.
"Oh, I uh, remember me from the police work, not the murders."
Oh, that's right.
But then Kang and Kodos come out of nowhere, and their
Hmm.
spaceship crashes into his blimp, and yeah, he's screwed. So,
Yep.
but I thought that was a
And then we
great wee
get
line.
we get like we get Ralph's like little high fantasy to finish that one off.
Yes, that's right.
It's like
Yeah,
all the wee fantasy creatures and all, and they
like
go
pink
off.
dragons and stuff swimming
Yeah.
about or swimming, uh, flying about the spaceship.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, pretty funny episode.
It's a good episode. Yep, good
Yeah.
segment.
So
Yep.
on to the last episode of episode, or on to the last segment of
Hmm.
episode 15 is In the Belly of the Boss,
Yep.
which is a parody of Fantastic Voyage,
I
from
was like,
1966.
I was inner space.
Yeah, well, that's obviously that's exactly where I went to first, inner
Mhm.
space. Premise of this is that Professor Frink is at the Invention Expo, and he's
Mhm.
created this machine that can shrink objects down to tiny size. So he's showcasing this giant pill
Mhm.
that has, obviously all the wee bits in it, but it looks like a ball pit to
Yeah.
Maggie, and she sort of crawls out of the her pram and jumps into the ball pit just before it gets shrunk. So she's inside this pill, and then obviously Mr. Burns is the one that wants to try it because he's dying, and he takes the pill, and he ends up swallowing Maggie. So
Yep.
fucking hell, brutal.
Mhm.
There's a great line. There's a great line whenever Marge sort of freaks out, and she's like, "Oh my God, Maggie, my child, my child, my child," and Frank's like, "I'll be okay. She'll be rocked gently to sleep by the stomach acid."
Yeah, there's that bit, and then there's the bit whenever whenever Fink is like explaining, that she's only got so long left before the stomach juices dissolve, and he's drawing on Mr. Burns's body in the felt tip. And Mr. Burns is like, "Stop that! The felt is cutting through me like a knife." Oh, so good.
Oh fuck,
Mr.
I love
Burns is
Burns. I
great. Yeah.
absolutely love
Hmm.
Burns, man. If he should be in every episode, like
No.
he's so good. So Frank comes up with an idea. Obviously, he can still save Maggie. He has to shrink a spaceship or a ship down a vessel
Hmm.
with a crew who can go inside Mr. Burns and save Maggie. So Homer, Marge, Lisa, and Bart all get shrunk down with this vessel, and they go inside Mr. Burns.
Yep.
I thought
It's
they were going
whenever
to go
when
inside a funny way, but they didn't. They just went
yeah.
inside like an injection.
Yeah, it's the bit just before they're about to go in, and the Simpsons family are all kind of standing, declaring their crew. So Homer's the captain, Lisa's the science officer, Bart's the guns, the turrets, and then Marge is Marge, but
Yeah,
her wee logo is a Hoover.
yeah. Oh, obviously
Of
she's a
course, it
woman.
has to. Yeah.
But then there's a great line where Mr. Burns says, um, "When you're in there, grab as much cancer as you can."
That's right. I just as they're about to go in, grab as much cancer as you can.
Class. But so while they're in there, they've also been told what they have to do, and they have to go into like a vein or something, don't they? They have to fly into like a
Mhm.
vein. And Homer's like, "Nah, I'm just going to do my own thing." So he sort of goes rogue,
Yep.
and ends up like crashing the ship into Mr. Burns' heart
Yep.
and sort of lodges the vessel into the heart, and then they have to try to break free. So they
Manually
come out of the
dislodge it.
ship. Yeah, they come out of the ship. They try to figure out a way to break free of this. And they do. They eventually do. But it's funny when they come out of the ship, they all come out with their sort of suits on and stuff. Marge comes out and she's
Scantily
a wee bit
clad.
of dead.
Uh-huh.
A wee bit of
She's
dead.
She is scantily clad, but then she's like, "Isn't it funny? They knew exactly where to stop them."
That's later on whenever her clothes gets all ripped off.
Yeah.
But Marge is pretty hot, man. She's got a nice chest, you know. But and then what is it? She asks why is mine so skimpy, and
Yeah.
Homer says, "Well, that's the difference between a good voyage and a fantastic voyage."
Yeah. That's right.
So they do eventually go in and they rescue Maggie and they get
Hmm.
her out, but there's one sort of side effect in that there's too much weight on the ship, so they have to leave somebody behind, which is, the classic leave somebody behind.
Yeah.
And Homer kind of gets voted to be the one to be left behind, and they all go out, but he doesn't mind because he finds like a random a stray marshmallow
Hmm.
inside Burns and he eats away at it, and he's like, you know what, one door closes, another one opens, so he eats the marshmallow. Um, and then they're all back, and obviously they're all sad about Homer and stuff. But then Frank tells him that eventually he will go back to his normal size. Man, this was fucking creepy. I thought this fucking
Hmm.
scene was really creepy whenever he sort of pops into his usual
Yeah.
size, and he sort of comes out in like the shape under Burns' skin,
Under Burgess' skin,
but
but still his shape.
yeah, he's like the
Yeah.
shape. He's like a
And he's like
conjoined twin.
the mouth is
Yeah,
just like sucked in skin and the eyes and stuff. Yeah.
it's fucking. It was horrible.
It's just, but it's whenever they're like having something to eat after back at the Simpsons house, and Mr. Burns is like, "Oh no, that's enough for me," and Homer's like, "Remember, you're eating for two now. I decide when we stop."
Yeah. I have no mouth hole or other holes.
Or other ones.
Again, wee bit adult, wee bit
Mm,
adult,
mhm.
you
But
know,
then
entertainment
finishes
there.
with, because it's the bit whenever then, because it opens the Kang Kodos like opening theme is that song Standing Tall,
Hmm.
and then we get it again as the nice little like outro to this episode with like stills from all the segments, and I was like, nice,
Yeah,
just
do
rounding it
not
off
they go
nice.
they go for like a wee dance, don't they? It's like a sort of part.
They
They
have,
start.
yeah,
I've
they
got
do
you
a
under
bit
my
of a
skin, Frank
waltz. Yeah,
Sinatra's,
that's right. Yep.
and
They
then
do that, and then it goes into.
all the other characters come back
Mhm.
to the dance, which I thought it was nice.
It was good. It
And
was a
then
good retouch, and then.
you see Kang and Kudos, and that's when you see Mole Man and his alligators as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's
yep, yep.
funny. That's nice.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I think out of those three segments, what do you think was the best one?
I think my favorite has to be Four Beheadings and a Funeral. I think it's just that
Right.
bit more like, again, the first one, the tongue bit is the bit that just straight away came to my mind as I was
Mhm.
watching it. And then the belly of the boss was Homer under the skin. I remember that vividly. The Four Beheadings and a Funeral, like the whole way through that, I think there's cracker lines. I love when Chief Wiggum kind of gets to be a focus of something because I think he
Mhm.
is a great character, and Ralph with his opios just kills me. Like, yeah, I think there's some real good gags in Four Beheadings and a Funeral. Like, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'd probably agree. Just purely for the Cockneys.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
proper flower Cockney girl.
Marge doing a Cockney accent is just, yeah, it's great.
Right, we'll crack on with episode 16 now, and this one aired
Hmm.
in November the 6th, 2005. And then so we'll briefly talk about the intro. And I did notice that the intro they used to do more of a sort of horror themed intro to these.
Yeah,
They kind of
this
as
one.
obviously as they do the episodes as they progress, they kind of have to kind of branch out a lot. So
Yeah, this one I
we
think was a bit because you kind of said earlier about how the episode the Halloween special airing always started to tend to happen after Halloween, and I felt
mhm.
like this episode, the intro was a bit critical of that because they make a joke about, oh, if this game's not over, if it overruns, the Halloween special episode won't air until what was it, Professional Administrators Day.
Yeah,
And I was kind of like, is that meant to be a bit of a dig at the fact that the episode doesn't get to
uh,
air when it's meant to?
yeah. I think in previous seasons, the Halloween Treehouse of Horror Halloween special is usually the first episode
Hmm.
of each season. I think a couple of seasons ago it wasn't the first episode, and then I think this is only the second time
Yeah.
where it wasn't the first episode, and I think it had something to do with the World Series. So obviously this
Yeah.
intro is a sort of a play on that as well.
Mhm.
But it's basically a very, very boring baseball game.
Yeah. The
And
Bears are the Cubs are
the
playing or
Cubs, yeah, the
something.
Cubs,
Mhm.
and Kang is watching it, and he decides to use his powers to speed up the game.
Mhm.
But he goes too far, and
The was it an accelerate?
yeah, they
He's
sort of
like
like turn into like a fucking vortex or something.
turns an eye. He's like, "Oh, be careful you don't break the fabric of time and space."
Uh-huh. Basically, the universe is sucked in to this time whole vortex thing,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just a void.
Yep.
Um, and he leaves a wee post-it note, which turns out to be the title of the episode. So the first segment in this
I love the BI,
yeah, BA.
artificial intelligence.
Brilliant. I tell you what, man, if anything they come up with good titles, like they
Hmm.
really play with the titles well, and even the the title visuals with Bart stepping out of the B instead of
Yep.
the A. I thought it was great. So obviously a parody of AI,
Yep.
artificial intelligence, um, a Steven Spielberg film, but I thought this was a great episode.
Hmm.
The premise is basically after attempting to jump out of a window into the swimming pool,
Yeah.
he feels Bart has fallen to the ground and he gets put into a coma.
Hmm.
And they think he's going to die.
Yeah, it's the bit whenever he goes to these because he's kind of saying to Lisa, do you think I could jump out the window into the
Uh-huh.
pool? And she's like, oh, stop messing around. He's like, yeah, but do you think I could do it backwards? And then he does it, and as he's doing it, he says Kawa, but as you would normally
Yeah.
expect the bunga, it just
Yeah.
you hear the thud sound, and it's actually one of those things where it's kind of like it's almost kind of shocking because I was kind of
Yeah.
watching it and I was like, because it's just there's the thud and then Lisa's just kind of like, oh, and then shouts for Marge,
I
shouts
thought
for
they
her
were going to
mom,
show
and
him like all fucking bent out of all recognition.
yeah, but it's just like it's one of those things where it's kind of in a way it's almost kind of like the film because it's just kind of like, oh, oh fuck, right, okay,
Mm.
something bad has happened, and then even Marge, whenever they go to the hospital and they find out, he's going to be in a coma and stuff, and Marge kind of has this moment where she is like properly like grieving
Yeah,
for
she freaks
her
out.
son, and you're kind of like fuck, but then it's whenever Dr. Hibbert's like recommending the artificial intelligence, like the robot son. And he's like, to replace your dead son. And Marge is like, but he's not dead. He's only in a coma. And he's like, tomato, tomato.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah,
Only this way I get to keep billing you.
yeah,
But
that's
it
true.
said that before. And Marge was like, "You already said that," and he was like, "You didn't laugh the first time," which
Yeah.
is basically, I think the first time I've ever seen Hibbert angry. I could be
Mm,
wrong there, but because he's always so
like
joyful and he's always
chill.
laughing and telling
He gets a
He's
wee
some
moment in
crack,
the
like
last segment. In the last segment, he gets a little dig in at
he
the
does.
the
I
town as well. Yeah.
he does. I he's good. He's good crack, but you didn't
Hmm.
laugh the first time. Um, yeah. So they basically apply for this program that creates kind of children, robotic children. But I did think it was really creepy whenever the van pulled up and it said "Boys Are Us."
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, "This is that like that's like a pedo ring. That's like the
Yeah. And
that's
to
like
be
the title of
fair,
a fucking
there's
a
a
pedo
joke.
Facebook group or something."
There's a bit later in this that has not aged well, like
No,
really has not aged
no.
well, and it ties into that.
Uh-huh. I think that's what I was kind of sort of thinking was, is there like an underlying theme here, something to do with
Mm.
creepy
Well,
pedos or something?
who were they to know? Unless maybe they did know something, but who were they?
Hmm.
Simpsons predicting the future
They always
again.
do it. They always do it, man. So the boy arrives,
Uh-huh.
and his name's David, and the the workman that arrives basically, oh, do you want me to boot him up?
Do you want to put
And
him
Marge
up?
is like, yeah, of course. So he
Oh
just gives
yeah.
him a bit up the hole.
It just keeps him up the hole, and he's like, "Mom."
I know.
Great. Yeah. Do you want me to put him up? Uh-huh.
But he's just like a
Class.
real boy. He
Oh, Homer with
it's,
his when he's strangling him and he's like, "Oh, the was it the like strangling interface
yeah.
is so the grip's great and all."
Um, he tries to strangle him, and it's like, no, he says, "Oh wow, the windpipe is incredibly responsive."
That's right.
And then
Yeah,
that's when he
he's
sort of rubs
squashing
his
it
windpipe,
around.
which is really creepy. Again, that was very sort of like, This
Yeah.
is it's lingering too long on
Mm-hmm.
this. But yeah, so his name's David, and he is the best son that Homer has ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But then Bart wakens up.
Yeah. With a
Bunga!
bunga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he becomes jealous. He goes back home and sort of feels really left out and feels like he's been completely replaced. Which is, wasn't his fault. Well, it was his fault. He fell out the window, but
Mm.
he wakes up and he returns home, and he realizes that David, he can't compete with David's charm
Yep.
and his abilities as well, because he's a robot. He can do special things, like he can cook waffles in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And he can if we find out later on that he can like make ice cream as
Yep.
well for all Bart's mates. And so Bart's kind of jealous and he feels left out, which is a bit sad. And he decides that he's going to kill David.
Mm-hmm.
So oh, they go to the zoo, and they're just outside the lion's enclosure, and he's like, right, I'm going to kill this wee fucker. So he goes up to push him. This bit I pushed myself, man, and he pushes him, but
Mm-hmm.
because David's a robot, he does
Yep.
the old fucking Michael Jackson.
Yep.
That wasn't me bending over, taking up the
That's
arse. That was just Michael Jackson bending forward, and his feet still on the ground, and he springs back, catapults fucking Bart flying, and he falls into an enclosure. But thank God it's only a peacock enclosure.
mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's the mutant peacock
Mutant
enclosure.
peacocks.
I love when Bart's like, "Oh God, thank God, I've just fallen into the fruity bird enclosure."
Yeah, the free bird enclosure, but then their mouths open. I'm just like,
I
yep.
know, and it's like eyeballs with like weird fucking
I'm sure because it's kind of like
claws and shit.
from the start of the episode, you wouldn't really know, but then there's a point where it just kind of turns out that it's the future. Like they have like
They've got
mutant
like a
animals
future,
and
like a
future
futuristic car.
cars, and yeah, which basically Homer's bubble car from one of the like actual proper
Yeah,
episodes.
and Bart goes back, and they sort of have to decide if they're going to keep Bart or
Keep
David.
David.
And then,
Yeah.
as you say, they're in the car, the bubble car, and they're driving away. And
Homer's explaining the situation. Oh fuck, it's so funny. It's so funny the
uh,
way Bart he's just like, so we've had to make a really difficult choice, and
uh,
then he's sort of like taking him out of the car.
he
Fucking
just
fronts
dumps
off
him.
and leaves him.
I know, but then this was really sad. And as he drives off, Bart's like, "Are we not going to the toy store? Am I not allowed to buy all the toys?" That
Yeah.
was quite sad, man.
Yeah, it is. Because what was it? Does Homer call something back to him? Does he not?
Homer was sort of explaining the situation. He's like, "Oh, we've decided, and your mother will agree with me when I tell her." So
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
basically done this
Yeah, he's
without
made the
Marge's
choice.
approval,
Hmm.
which is, he does that a lot.
Oh
He
yeah.
drops Bart off in sort of the woods, deep into the woods, miles away, and drives off. Bart's all alone until he comes across this sort of group of abandoned robots.
Yep.
Um, and there's this one that's got a human head, and he's got like a weird body,
He's a
and he's kind
lawnmower
of the leader.
man.
He's talking to, hey,
He's the lawnmower man.
oh, that's right. He's a lawnmower. That's
Mhm.
right.
I was a lawnmower. I could cut grass at three different heights, but I did not know love.
I did not know how to love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just want to be human. They want to know how to
Mhm.
like love and have emotions and stuff.
Yep.
And Bart lies down.
It's a
They sort
bit.
of take care of him and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, they put a wee blanket on all of them, and he's like, "We'll to get some rest, and tomorrow you'll teach us how to love." And Bart's like, "Yeah, whatever."
But then when they waken up the next day, they're fucked. Bart's
Hmm.
stolen all their parts, and he's harvested some of their best parts,
Hmm.
um, to basically create himself as a giant robot,
Yep.
um, that will best David. So he goes back home with all these robotic parts, kicks down the door, and he's about to kill David. And then David's like, "To get to me, you'll have to get through Homer." But before he can even get it out, Bart's just sawed him half.
Hmm.
Homer as well, right
Yep.
down the middle. And then Homer doesn't really care that he's died. He's just like, "Ah, those were my best treasures."
Yep.
So, but then the next scene it shows you Homer, the top half of Homer with David's legs, and
Yep.
it's just like
For
two
sure.
wee fucking
Little
skinny
tiny
legs.
legs. Yeah.
Class.
Wow.
Um,
Good.
and then completely randomly, we find out that it was actually all a dream,
Hmm.
and that Homer is possessed by the devil.
That's right.
And
That's
then we
right.
get that
I was.
exorcist scene. That's so random.
It's so random. It's just such a yeah. It's like, oh, what what just happened? His head's
Mhm.
spinning and all. Yeah.
I know. So he's actually possessed by the devil. And he starts crawling on the ceiling
Hmm.
and stuff. So no, I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah.
It was a bit creepy. I think
Yeah.
I think it
It's
was
got
very,
some
very
of
creepy.
some of the tonal stuff was a bit like, oh, oh, is this what you're doing with this? Okay.
Yeah, I know, I know. But on to the next segment is called Survival of the Fattest,
Hmm.
um, which is a parody of the short story The Most Dangerous Game. Sort of battle royale, Hunger Games, that kind of vibe. That film The Hunt
Hmm.
from the Blumhouse release a couple of years ago. So put
Rich people hunting down poor people.
threw a lot of people in a field or a forest area, and they're being hunted. So basically, the premise is that Homer is invited to a hunting party by Mr. Burns at his mansion, along with, you know, Barney, Moe, all the gang are there. There's a whole table
Lenny,
full of gang, yeah.
Carl, and yeah.
And they've all been invited too, so they think that they're going to go out on a hunting party, but it actually turns out that they are not the hunters. They are the
Mm.
prey.
The
And the,
hunted.
the hunted and Mr. Burns and Smithers are the hunters.
Hmm. It's
Um,
the bit when they're kind of just coming to figure that out, and Barney leans back and he's like, "Oh," when Mr. Burns is like, "Oh, a very particular type of prey," and Barney's like, "I wonder who it could be," and he leans back and there's a plaque
yeah,
with Barney
with
on
his
it,
name on it.
and then Carl and Lenny also do they're like, and they
Yeah,
lean back and there's plaques for them as well. I liked that, but I love even whenever the first kind of it's revealed that they're going to be the ones that are hunted, and they'll kind of start freaking out. And then the lawyer character that's in a lot
he's
of
brilliant.
it's quite a few Simpsons episodes.
Yeah,
He's kind of like, you couldn't do this. It'd be illegal. It wouldn't you'd be done for in court unless, of course, you had the right kind of legal document. And then next thing it cuts to him like typing something up, and he's like, "Yep, that should do it. That'll get you by in any court of law." And Mr. Burns is like, "Oh, thanks," and blasts him with a shotgun.
yeah.
Oh fuck, I was
Because
good.
he
I
he's a
like
he's a
that.
guest, like
Hmm.
he's not just there for Burns. He's actually a guest. Um, so basically, they all run out the door. They're all running off in all different directions, trying to get away from Burns and his gun. And he sort of takes them out one by one. But there's a line here that fucking killed me, man. He was driving by a bush and he says, "I smell fear mixed with curry." And he looks over and it's a poo, and you're
That's a
like,
pretty
"Fucking hell!" Like
yeah. It's
that's on the edge, man. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It was the style at the time.
It was the style, yes, yes, yes. But
Yeah.
Apu's hiding in the bush, and he takes
Hmm.
him out. And then we find out obviously that this is being broadcast live on TV. Typical
Hmm.
Americans, very Running Man
Yeah.
esque, where
Hmm.
two guys talking to a camera as this is all happening in the background, and people are watching it and commenting on it and stuff. So Mo and friends are hiding in the tree,
Fuck,
and
that
they're
killed
like,
me.
"Homer, Homer, come up here." And Homer goes to climb the tree, and he sort of pulls a branch,
Uh-huh.
and it pulls the tree
That's it.
down, and then it slingshots them all fucked off in the
Against
air.
the wall.
Uh,
Oh fuck.
oh, you fat ass!
You fat
And
ass. Yeah.
is it Mo
Mo is flying through the
waves as he's
air
going?
and he's waving. Yeah, he's waving as he goes along, and then he's kind of like, "Oh, I'll come down eventually." And then he lands on a fucking weather vane,
Yeah, gets impaled,
gets impaled, and then
but he's not
this
dead
isn't
yet.
he's not dead yet. He's like, might as well do this scratch card I
Uh,
had, and he's doing that there, and he's like, "Oh." He wins the jackpot, and he's like, "Oh, if I survive this, I'll put this money to good use." And then is it Chief Wiggum
no, it's
lands on
Barney.
him? Is Barney lands on him and squishes him? That's right, takes him out.
So they all die one by one, and Homer, funny enough, is the last one left alive, and so he's going to die basically.
Yeah,
But just before he's about to be shot by Smithers and Mr. Burns, Marge turns up, knocks him out with frying pans.
yep,
And then basically it's the whole, "Oh, what would I do without you?" And that kind of gets them horned up, Danny, and they start
it
making
does.
the love.
And then you've got the like sportscaster guys who've
Uh,
been like announcing the whole thing, and it's like, and knowing the network, they're gonna cut away just as it gets to the steamy hot stuff. And then he turns around and looks and he's like, oh no, they're not gonna cut away. That's one for my playbook.
Yeah. Um, before the act of lovemaking, yeah. So they end up having a wee bang there at the end of the episode, which again, happy ending for everybody there. On to the last segment of the episode 16. I've grown a costume on your
Your
face,
face.
which is a great title.
Great title. Yeah.
Well, great title.
Mhm.
Before we go any further, this was my favorite segment. One of my
Yeah.
favorite. I think the reason why I love this segment is because when I watch Treehouse of Horror, I know it's not always horror based, but I
Mhm.
do like it when it's set around Halloween. I like it when
Yeah.
the episodes are set around Halloween and they're dressed up and they're, that kind
And
of
this
vibe.
one, this one is it's Halloween, and it's also, as far as I'm aware, like quite an original. Like it's an original sort of little story for, like, obviously the wee characters and stuff they're being an original. But I know, are you going to prove me wrong? Is there
It's a
like a
part, yeah,
Twilight?
it's a
Is a
party of
party
a
of a Twilight
get,
episode?
yeah, yep,
Okay, oh,
exactly.
come
Twilight
on.
Zone episodes. The fuck, of
Yeah,
course it's a Twilight episode, man. Man,
yeah,
if you think you've got an original idea,
yeah.
you're wrong.
No,
The
wrong.
Twilight episode has already done it in some form.
Yeah, Twilight
So
Zone,
the
Gladys.
episode was called The Masks, and it's based on
Mm.
the premise from that episode. It's a
Mhm.
Halloween costume party, and everyone is gathered in the town square
Mhm.
to find out who the winner of the costume contest is.
Mhm.
There's going to be an announcement anytime soon, and you see everyone standing around, and like Grandpa's dressed up as a gorilla,
Is a
and
gorilla. Sideshow
yeah,
Mel is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
Apu's
class.
R2D2. It was
Apu
it
two,
Nelson?
Apu D2.
Apu D2. Nelson is a raccoon,
Oh,
but he's not a
brilliant.
raccoon. He's the Lone Ranger. He just couldn't afford to buy the hat. What was it?
He
He's
was
like, I
too
can't
poor
afford to
to
buy
buy the
that.
hat.
Too poor to buy the hat, and then Bart rubs his face and he's like, oh, this is just like axle grease.
Hmm.
And he's like, leave me alone. Hi ho silver, and it's a fucking toilet brush
I
instead
know.
of the horse, instead
But
of the
man,
happy
like, see,
horse.
when you were kids, that's what you did. Like,
You improvised, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But
you just wore like shit that bin bags and stuff.
mhm.
And like,
The
oh, I
mayor.
always remember getting a stick, or a brush, like, and that
Mhm.
pretend that was like a horse or something you would kind of ride on. So
Mhm.
that's what you did when you were a kid, man. That's what you just had to
That's
do.
it.
But
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 everybody else
one of the best
saw.
ones was Hibbert as Blackula.
Oh,
Fuck
he's like,
me.
he's the runner-up prize, and he's Blackula, and he's like, oh, so just because I'm black, I'm Blackula. My wife did say I shouldn't go as Dracula, but I told her no. We lived in modern times.
And then
This whole
the mayor's
rant.
like saying one of the standard racial apology letters.
Yeah, stand.
He's just got one ready,
It's in the
typed up
middle.
and all.
It's in the middle drawer.
I
Yeah.
know. That's class.
So he's
So
a big hamburger.
Hibbert is the finalist, and the other finalist is like this old witch,
Hmm.
and she's not a character from The Simpsons that I recognized anyway,
Yeah.
and the mayor didn't really recognize either, and he's like, oh, do you want to tell us who you are? What citizen are
Yeah.
you?
What citizen of our beloved town are
Yeah,
you?
and then she had then admits that she is an actual witch. She's not in
So,
costume. She's a real
yeah.
witch. And then they're all fucking disgusted by
Sideshow
this.
Sideshow Mel is like, burn her, coupon.
So they rescind the prize, which is a £25 Kwik-E-Mart voucher.
Yeah. Which again, Pooh's like, oh, when you realize that'll buy you nothing because my prices are so high.
I know. Um, so she cheated. So she's because she's cheated and she's got her prize rescinded. She then casts a curse on the town, and the spell that she does is that she changes all the characters in costume into what they are dressed up as costume. So Grandpa is no longer just Grandpa in a gorilla suit.
He's
He
a
actually changes
he's a
into a gorilla.
spry young
Uh,
gorilla. I'm a spry young gorilla, and
he's swinging,
He's
yeah.
swinging. He fucking falls like, oh, I've shattered my hip, and
I
then
know.
Dracula, Doctor Hibbert Dracula, swoops down.
With the
He's like,
wings and all.
I'll take
Class.
care of you. I'll take care of you, and then flies off with him, and is whatever. And then Grandpa's like, that's right, suck out the venom.
Sorry.
Oh, or suck out the poison.
So
Oh fuck.
Homer had previously sort of dressed up as like guy with no head, and his
Mhm.
head falls off.
Yep.
Marge turns into a skeleton.
Skeleton.
Nelson turns into a real raccoon because
A
he was
raccoon with
clearly
the
a
toilet
raccoon.
brush
I
tail.
know.
Apu
Uh,
is R2, and it's the groundskeeper Willie as the the can of bug
Bug
spray,
spray. Yeah.
and he's was what do you call the nerd? His name's gone out of my head.
Martin.
Martin,
Yeah,
yes.
Martin.
Martin is king of the fairies and tries to tell Willie. He's like, "No, you're a big bug.
I'm a fairy. He's chasing him around with a
Yeah, come
spraying.
back
No, he's
here, you
spraying
big
himself.
bug."
But
Uh,
then we have this classic moment with Hans Molman.
Man, I died laughing. I'd forgotten. I remembered it as it happened, but it tickled me so much. Hans Moleman is a wee mole, and he's like, I wasn't even in costume.
It's not fair. Oh, I felt really bad for
Oh,
him.
fucking killed me, man. It's so funny. I wasn't even in
And then the mayor,
costume.
who's dressed up as a big burger, is being eaten
Mm.
by like some stray dogs.
Yep. He's been eaten by
Um,
the dogs. That's right.
that's so good. And
Oh,
then
that's so good. And then
Lisa, who
was
was
it
Lisa was dressed up as Einstein, so
Albert Einstein? Yep.
she's like trying to figure out a way to
Hmm.
break the curse and to, reverse the spell. Um, and then she does figure out a way because she realizes that Maggie is was dressed up as
Which
a witch as well,
hmm
and that she
she
has
can
powers of the
magically
witch. Yeah.
picks her pacifier, gets on the ground, and Maggie
hmm
uses her magic
hmm
to put it back in her mouth. Yep.
So she sort of tries to persuade Maggie to use her magic to reverse the spell.
Hmm.
Um, but then some of the citizens don't want to change back.
Some of them are keen for it, some of them aren't keen for it.
Yeah,
Homer wants to turn back because every time he tries to drink his Duff
he
beer,
can't
the
drink.
beer's going
Yeah,
to his mouth and falling out of his neck hole. So he wants to go back, and Marge wants to go back because Snowball the cat's been using her
that's right.
rib cage or spine as a scratching post, and is all entangled in her ribs.
But
But
one of the characters that doesn't want to go back is Chief Wiggum because he's lost a little bit of weight and he's now sexually ambiguous.
he's he's Jared, the subway guy,
Yeah,
who, for those of you who don't know, he was convicted of pedophile shit.
he was. Yeah,
So
there you go. That's the
that joke has not aged
no, it
well.
hasn't.
No, no. But I love Millhouse. Millhouse is a big digger, and Millhouse doesn't want to be changed back
He's
because
what is he?
he's a big digger.
Uh,
Digger,
okay,
like big truck.
big truck.
Big truck. So he doesn't want to get changed back because he can pull horses. He what is it? He can pull horses out of holes, and it
Yeah,
means girls want to date him.
and then his dad's like pure
It's,
built like a fucking shit brick
mhm.
house. He's like
He's
a muscular, like a muscle man.
and Aphrodite's happy either way.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't
He's
care.
that's brilliant. But so Maggie's disappeared, and she's kind of 50-50.
Mhm.
She ends up rather than she does cast a spell,
She
but
flies up over them
yeah,
and
but instead
casts
of
a spell.
reversing the spell, she changes everyone into giant pacifiers.
They're all
Yeah,
pacifiers. Yeah, yeah,
why not? They're
that's great.
passive.
Hmm.
They're all chilled out.
They're all chilled.
Um,
But they're not, because they have a public service announcement, which is delivered in
I Mo.
partnership with Dennis Rodman.
What's
Which
that
again
about? Like,
is like, okay. And he's like, oh, I'm doing this as my community service for a driving ticket.
that's right. Yeah, he just comes in and just joins the cast,
Uh-huh.
completely random at the very end. Very, very random endings, but a lot of these segments do have random endings
Hmm.
because that's kind of the charm of
That's the thing.
Treehouse of
Yeah.
Horror. But I
Hmm.
love that segment. I think that was my favorite because just
Yeah.
again based on the Halloween costumes, I just love that idea. I like it whenever they have Halloween in the actual
Yeah.
segments.
I think if this segment hadn't have been in it, it would have been Artificial Intelligence, but this one just wins it for me because there are
Mhm.
some absolute, like, belter lines, and that
Yeah,
mole man bit,
I
the mole
know.
man bit, out of all the bits we talked about, the segments between two episodes, the mole man joke just makes it for me. It just absolutely floored me, like.
I love that. I love that it is very inventive. Obviously, yes, we said it is based on a Twilight Zone episode, but I
Mhm.
think with the characters, like the fact that they don't want to change back and stuff, because they're better now. And
Yeah.
was it? Isn't it Mo? What's Mo dressed up as? I know whenever he changes into a pacifier, I
Hmm.
think it's whenever I think that's whenever Mo's like, oh well, it's better than being Mo. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, that's so sad
No,
as well. Like
no.
Mo's, I know he's like pure on suicide watch most of the time, like because he's so depressed about his life. But I just thought it was quite sad.
No,
But it was
there's
funny.
some.
Like
It's good
Mo's
lines.
great. Mo's so good.
There's a line actually that's just come to my mind. I've only just remembered it, but we're going back a couple. We're going back to Four Beheadings and a Funeral, and it's the bit
Hmm.
when they're in the curio shop, and there's the three heads of the missionaries,
Ah,
and it's
brilliant. Yeah.
Ned and his two sons, and Bart says, "Oh, oh, those are the heads of the missing missionaries," and Ned's head sort of comes alive, and it goes, "Oh." They they only shrunk our heads because we told the locals they were having sex wrong, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Missionaries telling people they're having sex wrong. Yeah, that just
Yes.
killed me. That was another
Nice play on words
a
there.
good wee bit there. But
Uh-huh.
I
It
think
was.
the mole man joke still, the mole man being turned into a mole just is the
Yeah. Brilliant.
peak. Yeah.
It's not fair. I wasn't even in costume.
I was in for the costume.
Brilliant. But yeah, wouldn't say it was either of these were my favorite episodes.
No,
As we said, so the
I think in
quality
the
does
grand.
dip. Yeah, it does dip.
Yeah, it starts
Uh,
to. I think we're going to get. There's definitely going to. I think we're okay for a wee bit now. There's still going to be like enough to keep us like, yeah, yeah. But I think we're going to hit a point, Gav. I think we're ever closer to the point where it starts to get a bit like. "Ugh." I could be wrong. We could end up watching
mm.
some of the newer ones to be like, why the fuck have we not watched these
Well, where are
yet?
we at?
These
We're
are great.
2005 now.
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
thinking that there was a bit of a boom, horror movie boom around that time. So
Yeah.
like Saw and Conjuring was a wee bit later, but there definitely was a boom around the mid
We
20
get some
two
of those
thousands.
influences. Yeah, some more modern horror
Hopefully, we'll get
influences.
some.
Not just Twilight Zone all the fucking.
Well, that's where they go to. They're like, oh, let's just close your eyes and pick a Twilight Zone episode
Yeah.
and do it. But I actually think the Twilight Zone episodes are always some of the best.
Solid.
Monkey Paw and all that was
Oh,
great.
Monkey
And
Paw's great. Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
so. But yeah, so that's all the time we have for this episode. Before we go, I want to just show off my t-shirt,
That's a lovely t-shirt.
The
Where did
Shinning.
you get that? Where did you
Uh,
get that lovely Shinning t-shirt?
I did The Shinning, probably one of the best segments ever from
One of our
Treehouse of Horror,
faves. Yep.
which we talked about way back.
Back when.
I'll put the link to that in the description below, and I'll also put the link if you want to buy this t-shirt. I will put the link to this t-shirt in the
Mm.
description below too. But yeah, so anything else, Danny? Are you?
I think that's us. I
Uh-huh.
think we have chatted
We just have to do a wee bit of
all
promotion
the
as
time.
always. So
Oh yeah.
go and visit our Twitter and our Instagram at the Fright Club NI. Please go over to our Facebook as well and like and follow our Facebook page because we're trying to grow our audience on there too. And always obviously check out the website. It's www.thefrightclubni.com.
And then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you get notified when we post in new videos. Let us know what's your favorite segment from Treehouse of Horror 15 and 16.
Mhm.
Are you excited for any of the upcoming ones that we've talked about? Do you agree with us? Do you think there's a bit of a quality dip the further in we go? Or yeah, just
I think
let us know. Let us know some of your favorite Simpsons moments as well, because we love the Simpsons. They're not
we
just
do.
Treehouse Horror, Simpsons in general. Big fans.
I think with the Treehouse of Horror as well, like I can't remember. I can't. I'm not sitting here going right. The next one's got this segment, or the next one's got this segment. Like when I watch it, I'm just like I'm watching it as if I haven't watched them before, which
Yeah,
I know I have. But there's certain things come back, and I'm like, ah, ha, ha,
yeah.
that's a great little line or whatever. But yeah, I feel it's great that we can go back and revisit these because now I'm kind of rewatching them, but I'm also watching them for the first time, which is
Yes. I
a
love the
great
humor
feeling.
lands more, I think,
Yes, yes.
being that bit more grown
Bit
up.
older, yes, especially
Yeah.
in one of those episodes with I think it was the Bartificial intelligence.
Hmm.
That was definitely had some adult theming going on there, but yes. Yeah, please leave us any comments you want in the comment section below. And as always, please like and subscribe and tell your friends about us and share the video if you can. And go back and watch some of the older videos if you can too. So until 2 weeks, that's all the time we have. So stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.
Bye. I was wearing a costume.